Welcome to The Know, I'm Brian. Just yesterday we reported that a number of governments around the world are banding together to investigate loot boxes. Well, now researchers in another country, Australia, have weighed in with a public survey, found some pretty damning evidence that loot boxes in games are psychologically akin to gambling. GamesIndustry.biz reported that the survey of more than 7,000 gamers was presented to the Australian Environment and Communications Reference Committee, and they found that there is a serious risk for loot boxes to cause gambling-related harm. They also said that loot boxes could be a gateway that leads to gambling problems among gamers. Now, while they said that the industry tries to compare loot boxes to harmless products like trading cards or Kinder Surprise eggs, researchers instead found that loot boxes share so many formal similarities with other forms of gambling that they meet the psychological criteria to be considered gambling themselves. So definitely some interesting findings, definitely going to be further evidence for loot box critics to be used against them in the future. It looks like Halo Infinite will have microtransactions. That's according to a job listing found by GameSpot. It's for an online experience design director, in which developer 343 Industries says that the candidate will oversee multiple design aspects of the game. Those include progression in and out of game, microtransactions, and integration of our business plan throughout the game. And finally, social and engagement features that encourage players to return again and again with their friends. So yeah, definitely going to incorporate that games as a service model that so many AAA games are doing these days. Of course, microtransactions aren't new for Halo games either. Halo 5 had rec packs, so we'll have to wait and see what kind of system they use in Halo Infinite. It looks like the Blackout beta for Black Ops 4 has been really popular. Yesterday, Treyarch even extended the end of the beta a couple of hours until noon that day, and they expanded the maximum player count to 100 people on all platforms. The beta, it's been really well received. Lots of people saying it was pretty polished for a beta. Overall, a fun experience. Imagine that. Treyarch wrote on the game's subreddit, "Thanks again for your constant feedback throughout the week. We've heard your requests, bug reports, concerns, and encouragement during this process, and we'll be following up later today with a more comprehensive look at what you've told us and how we'll be addressing key topics for launch." Speaking of Black Ops 4, some people have been disappointed that the upcoming game won't have a single-player campaign in favor of a bunch of multiplayer modes. Well, the heads of Treyarch talked to Game Informer about why they made that change. Studio head Dan Bunting said that it came out of a need to adapt, saying, "Development is a journey. We try a lot of different ideas and a lot of different things. The game that we are making has evolved over time, and that's just a part of development." Judging from the interview, it sounds like they decided pretty much from the beginning, though, to not have a campaign in Black Ops 4. Bunting added that they decided early on that the game was going to be entirely built around social gameplay experiences. He added, "And to do that, it means you end up having to change things that you've done historically or traditionally." All right, get excited, Sega Genesis fans. A bunch of classic games are coming to the Switch. In a trailer released today by Sega of America, the company says that more than 50 classic Genesis games will be coming to the Switch this winter. The collection is already out for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. It is packed with nostalgic hits like Golden Axe 1 through 3, Gunstar Heroes, Phantasy Stars 2, 3, and 4, Shinobi 3, Sonics 1 and 2, Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3, of course, Toe Jam and Earl. Definitely a cool retro addition to the Switch. Honestly, I was kind of hoping for Panzer Dragoon, but you know what? This is great. Now do Dreamcast games next. All right, Capcom, this is some sad news. They've canceled a number of projects in its Vancouver studio, and they say that they're going to take a financial loss in doing so. Gamatsu reports that in a release, Capcom says it will terminate development projects at the studio, which will cost the company the equivalent of more than $40 million in the US equivalent. No word on what they were working on, but that is the studio that worked on a lot of the Dead Rising games. Capcom said the studio primarily carries out development of home video game software for markets outside of Japan, but it added that Capcom is currently reviewing the allocation of its development resources that support the production of world-class content. All right, it's finally here. The Captain Marvel trailer dropped this morning. It has everything. Blockbuster video, pagers, young Samuel L. Jackson, suppressed memories, spaceship, aliens, and a concerned Jude Law and the title superhero punching an old lady for some reason. Damn, it was cold. In short, It's pretty great. In terms of overall MCU impact, Captain Marvel is probably the most important single character introduction since Captain America. She's no doubt going to play a massive role in the upcoming Infinity War follow-up, and she's believed to be central in MCU's Phase 4, which makes sense because she's one of the most powerful heroes in all of Marveldom. They're also introducing an alien race called the Skrulls that has the ability to shapeshift, which is for sure coming into play in a big way. Maybe that old lady was a Skrull, that's what I'm guessing. The fan reaction has been overwhelmingly positive to the trailer so far, and even the price of vintage Captain Marvel comics has shot up on eBay, so pretty awesome. It's going to be a long wait until March 8th of next year. That's when it comes out. I can't wait. All right, what do Patrick Stewart, Bill Murray, and Bernie Mac all have in common? If you guessed Charlie's Angels, you are correct. Sir Patrick Stewart has signed on to play Bosley, who is of course the guy who oversees the squad of lady badasses in the reboot movie that is being helmed by Elizabeth Banks. It stars Naomi Scott, Ella Balinska, and Kristen Stewart, no relation to Sir Patrick. The reboot supposes that the mysterious Charlie has many different groups operating in the field, each with their own Bosley, so it doesn't necessarily erase the Drew Barrymore series. Kind of sounds like a retcon a little bit. But Sony has the movie quickly moving towards production. They're targeting a September 27th, 2019 release date. All right, and for our last item, X-Men director Bryan Singer has been in the news a lot lately after he was kind of fired from his Freddie Mercury biopic, Bohemian Rhapsody, after he reportedly skipped out on the production for extended periods of times. It was temporarily directorless. It was a whole mess. They finally got it sorted out. And he's also faced more than one sexual misconduct lawsuit. So naturally, the response to the news that Singer was set to direct an adaptation of Red Sonja was met with some resistance by the film community. Now, Red Sonja is a Marvel comic character. She's a female warrior from the same world as Conan the Barbarian. Years ago, Robert Rodriguez was going to do his own take on the character with Rose McGowan in the role, but that died. And now Millennium Entertainment, they're known for their B-movies that seem to mostly star Nicolas Cage. They're attempting to relaunch what they view as a valuable potential franchise. Critics of the hiring of Singer point out that Red Sonja would be a pretty good vehicle for a female director, but I guess we'll see if Singer gives this one his all, or if the project's going to be doomed to never make it into production like Rodriguez's version was. All right, that is all the news we've got for today. Let us know what you think about all these stories down in the comments below, and for all your news from every corner of the internet, like this video, subscribe to The Know. Now, while they said the industry tries to compare loot boxes to harmless products like trading cards or Kinder Surprise eggs, researchers in... let me back that up. Well, it's cold. In short, it's pretty great. In terms of overall MCU impact, Captain Marvel is probably the most single important